Hello, everyone, and welcome to Divide and Conquer. We're named as such because of our intent. What is our intent? Well, we are a group of sport and performance psychology consultants and contractors here at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and we are also a part of the Army Resilience Directorate, which you can find on Facebook and Twitter at Army Resilience. So each week we pose a question or issue related to resilience and or performance enhancement that we as a group will conquer through our individual answers, and you'll find out pretty quickly our perspectives and stances are often divided. So we hope you enjoy our take on today's question, which is what, Jess?
First, let's talk about who's on the mics today.
My bad. So it's me, Diego.
It's Jess.
And Morgan.
And today's question is, can mental toughness be shared among a team, or is mental toughness reserved to each individual that makes up the team?
So what exactly is mental toughness, Morgan?
Yeah, so mental toughness has kind of like a buzzword where everybody has a different idea of what mental toughness is. So we're giving you the textbook, legit textbook. I pulled out my college textbook definition of mental toughness, and it defines it as the natural or developed psychological edge that enables you to cope better than your competitors with the demands of performance and to remain more determined, focused, confident, and in control. Even more so, the most important attribute of mental toughness is an unshakable belief in your ability to achieve your competitive goals. These are the foundation for mental toughness development and maintenance. And that came from research belonging to Connaughton, Hanton, and Jones in 2010. With that as the definition of mental toughness, what do y'all think?
I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind, I got this visual of, have y'all ever been outside on like a hot summer's day? It's Louisiana, so we all know hot summer's day. And you're playing with, like, in the sprinklers or whatever, and you have a hose and you decide to, like, cut off the water source. And so as a team, when I think about mental toughness, I think if any one person is in fact not mentally tough, then it does cut off the source of the team being able to flow and being able to produce the way that the team is meant to. Equally, like you've heard them, I don't know if it's a metaphor, but the imagery of like a kink in the armor, if you will. Same thing. If one person isn't upholding their role, isn't coping well with some kind of challenge from the opponent, from the particular conditions, then the whole team is affected. So while I think an individual has their own mental toughness, I tend to lean towards the team has a shared mental toughness, but is made up from all of these individuals. So I think a team can actually share that, and that's those who are the teams that are the most effective, I think, are ones that are on the same page majority of the time, and that includes mental toughness.
You got the little caveat in there.
Whoa.
It's our word of the day.
Yeah, caveat. No definition given.
Warning.
Yeah, so it's like a warning, right? So, or like, was it a condition to a standard set of, or like a standard rule or something like that. Anyway, back to the question at hand. I am more so inclined to agree with what you said, Jess, but I view it in terms of more emphasis on the individuals possessing the mental toughness. I think the individuals are responsible for their own mental toughness, and one of the benefits of having a group of mentally tough individuals is that the group as a whole will then gain some, if not all, the benefits of that collective mental toughness. Though I feel like there are a lot of like anecdotal instances of where it just takes one person to let the opponent score or to kill a play, whatever it may be. But my inclination is to think that the collective mental toughness will rub off on those individuals who are not necessarily as mentally tough. How many times can I say mental toughness in 1 minute?
I had that problem giving the definition. Very aware.
It's less of a collective thing, or I think more emphasis should be placed on the individuals trying to get themselves mentally tough, as opposed to fixate too much on whether they are mentally tough as a whole. Does that make sense? Brain blast.
I'll add something in there. How then do you feel about team cohesion? For example, I think something along the lines of our ability to cope and handle the various challenges and stressors, and let me use the actual definition, and the ability to achieve a common goal, I think is a contributor to or makes up a lot of what we talk about with team cohesion. So to me, if there is team cohesion, if that is a measurable thing, if that is something that we're striving for, I think mental toughness is a branch, if you will, under that umbrella of team cohesion. So the more we can establish this ability to have mental control, mental confidence, well, not mental confidence, just confidence, have determination and focus all in the same direction, to the same intensity or around the same intensity to the same degree, and have that ability, I think that in fact increases our team cohesion. And so because of that, I can see where there is in fact a shared team mental toughness.
So I agree that there is a shared mental toughness or a shared team cohesion amongst a group of people. It's just I would place the emphasis more on making sure each individual person's doing their part in order to achieve their own mental toughness and do their part to make sure that team cohesion is something that exists in a way that is productive.
I think that both. So a team can have its own collective mental toughness, and an individual can have their own level of mental toughness. But I'm thinking of moments when something significant happens, and as an individual, the situation overwhelms your capacity for mental toughness in that moment, and the team, like each individual has a similar reaction or a similar overwhelmed feeling by what's going on, but they come together as the team. So their individual mental toughness is lacking, but the team together and that connection as a whole is what makes them mentally tough for whatever they handle next. So I don't know explicitly, but the specific moments that are coming to my mind is the Marshall football team. And I'm purely going based off of the movie, which is probably not the best way to go. But I'm going to go with it anyways. I don't know, just in that movie, you see like something significant just absolutely overwhelm an entire town, an entire city, but particularly this team, and that they have to come together and rely on each other for them to get through it. So to me, that's mental toughness. Maybe as an individual, I don't feel like I have that, but because of the people I'm with and that connection, so that cohesion, that elevates our collective level of mental toughness. Equally, though, I'm thinking, Jess's word, equally, I think of, and I know I always go back to swimming, but that's really my scope of experience. I can have a super cohesive team and a very strong mental toughness team-wise, but if I can't push through my race, that's on me. So it has to be up to the individual. So I really think maybe it comes down to what sport you're a part of. So is your performance an individual performance, or is it more of a team? So the team sports versus individual.
That's a good point. So I was coming at it from a team sport perspective.
Likewise.
Which, even if you consider swimming or track and field, like, yeah, it's an individual performance, but the point system goes towards a team winning.
Right.
Or, like, there are relays, so you're a part of a team, but it's still, like, I have to do my leg. But I need the mental toughness to handle that, and I still have people relying on me. But I can't rely on someone else's mental toughness to push through my race. So
I'm glad that you brought this up, because if we're talking about elite athletes, let's start there. If you talk about elite athletes, let's say an individual has a day where they are not able to mentally face whatever the opponent is or the conditions are or whatever the challenge is. Guess what? You get booted, right? Like, I will replace you. I will find someone else to put in besides you. You're going to sit down. Think about pitchers in baseball. I'm going to relieve you very quickly if I can see that mentally you're not here today, or you're not up for the task, if you will. In football, you'll lose your spot. You'll go into free agency, whatever the case may be. So I think with team sports, if you don't fit into that team collective, if you don't have, as an individual, if you are not contributing mentally, you will easily and quickly be replaced. Now, if you're on a team that you don't get to choose, or there are no replacements, so think through, let's say, the Army. If you get put in a unit and you're not gonna be replaced when you have an off day, how do you then? Yes, I think then the individual is much more responsible for contributing to the overall collective than if you can easily be replaced on a team. Then it is about, like, you have to figure out how to be a part of that team and the mentality that team shares. Otherwise, they will find a replacement.
In conversations that I've had with soldiers, it's usually, well, you just do it. You just get over whatever you're experiencing. And I recently heard you embrace the suck. So here's your straw. Here's the straw was the new part. Embrace the suck was not, but here's the straw was, and it was fantastic. It was so clever. But constantly here, just embrace the suck, push through. And I think that's what, in my experience with whom I've talked to, soldiers' perspective of mental toughness is. It's just, hey, just push through, embrace the suck. You either have it or you don't. And it's not really recognized that it's a skill that you can build as a team, so team bonding, cohesion, that kind of stuff, but also as an individual.
So then if in the Army you're saying, well, Morgan, you're talking about in general, mental toughness can be a skill that's learned or can be built through various applications, through various strategies and efforts. Diego, do you have any thoughts on how would you go about building mental toughness if in fact you can't pick your team? We're going to be partnered up together, we're going to be teamed up together for extended periods of time, let's say a couple years, and we're finding ourselves, individuals are struggling with their mental toughness, and that impacts the overall team mental toughness. Would you have any specific top of mind strategies to help them out?
Find your local R2 performance center.
Wow. Find Diego's cubicle. He'd be happy to help.
Trying to drum up some business here.
Shameless plug.
Well, resilience in and of itself has multiple skills underneath it that all collectively, when practiced and put together, make up what we know as mental toughness or mental resiliency. So if we're able to identify these certain, well, one way to go about it is, I'm not a super huge advocate for, like, let's just throw everything and see what sticks. So sort of the opposite approach, which is one way, try to get like an assessment done and see what specific parts need improvement. And if it's with one individual, fine. If it's with multiple individuals, I think that's also something to consider as well, because if it's a part of a unit, they have to operate as a team more often than not. And those team dynamics will have an important factor within the overall resiliency of the team, but also in how an individual perceives their own, I keep using resiliency and toughness interchangeably, their own mental toughness, rather, because that's what we're talking about. But that's one way to start and understand what the specific area that needs to be worked on, needs to be targeted. What are your thoughts, either Jess or Morgan?
Going off of the definition of mental toughness, being able to cope better than your competitors with the demands of a performance, remaining determined, focused, confident, in control, all of that to me employs different skills, but I think of stress as the imbalance between your resources to meet a demand. I was talking about this earlier. And so if I need to cope with a demand of something, then I need to look at my resources. whether they're physical or psychological or whatever they are. So
Perceived
to be resources, exactly. So I would look at determination, like maybe even motivation. What are some of the values that I hold that I can bring into whatever I'm experiencing? Attention control. So how do I shift my focus to where I need it to be? Or how do I keep my focus from derailing or ruminating on me or on an individual? And then exploring what is controllable for someone. So we know that situations happen and we have thoughts, interpretations, perceptions of those situations. And those thoughts and perceptions what drives our emotions and reactions. So taking control of our perception so that we're creating the emotion or reaction that helps us in the next moment. So different skills, but all worthwhile in my mind if we're looking at the definition of building mental toughness.
I think when maybe pretty easy or things that people are already doing, maybe they could just up their game in this. But because it's an unshakable belief in your ability to achieve your competitive goals, so ensuring that each time you go out and perform, you have a game plan, you have some kind of goal within that performance, and then make sure you're reviewing at the end of that. Hey, let me just go back and review. All of us together, let's review. Did we achieve what we set out to achieve? Did we meet our game plan? And if not, next time, how can we adjust that game plan to be more focused, determined, flexible, all of those things that help our performance and to be mentally tough? And so just setting a goal each time, call it a game plan, and then following through with that game plan and then adjusting as needed from there.
I love that, being very intentional with what you're about to do and then intentional in evaluating whatever happened, good or bad. Yes. Intentionality. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Intentionality?
Yeah.
Yay.
Second word of the day, intentionality.
We are expanding your vocabulary
Hopefully.
and your brain today. Hopefully.
Put some
That's
wrinkles on that brain.
Wow. A lot of expectations, high expectations here.
So if you would like to leave a comment or suggest a question for us to answer in a future episode, please feel free to do so either on the Facebook post that goes up every Friday morning or on YouTube.
I have a challenge for them. Because we use such a textbook definition of mental toughness, I would like to hear how others define mental toughness, because if we can use better language, more relevant language, we would love that. Granted, this is the most appropriate language for what we do. However, we love different variations in what you use as how you would define mental toughness. So if you can start there, that would be great.
Or even letting us know what you experienced. Is mental toughness shared among the team, or is mental toughness reserved for an individual that makes up the team?
Yeah, so if we get enough responses from you all, we'll definitely not only acknowledge them, but discuss them within our scope, of course, in a very upcoming episode. So that way we can hopefully address what you all say in a more timely manner. So with that, I just want to remind you all again that we are part of the Army Resilience Directorate, which you can find them on Facebook and Twitter at Army Resilience. And you can find us on Facebook and YouTube if you search R2 Performance Center Fort Polk. And feel free to like our page, leave comments, send us messages. We reply within 12 hours. That's
Give
what it
a bunch
says.
of hearts and thumbs up and smiley faces.
Or share interesting content.
Yes. Oh, that's probably even better. And emojis if you'd like.
Iffy on that one. No, if you like emojis are fine.
Have a good day, y'all.
Bye.
Later.
Alligator.